We are going to look at some more GCSE-type questions. This time, the focus is on expressions. These questions will normally appear in a non-calculator paper. There are different types of questions involving expressions to consider, so I've decided to create 2 videos covering this topic. In this video, I will be looking at writing and interpreting expressions, evaluating expressions, and simplifying expressions. In the second video, I will be covering expanding and factorising expressions. Again, this isn't a definitive list of GCSE-type questions, but hopefully it will give you some idea of the types of questions which might appear in an exam and the skills that you will be tested on. As I go through some examples, feel free to pause the video at any time and have a go at the questions yourself. We'll begin with writing and interpreting expressions. The first type of question I'm covering involves number machines. Have a look at this one. It's in 2 parts. Let's focus on part A. So we have a function machine and we have to find the output when the input is 3. Notice that there is only 1 mark. This should be a straightforward answer. Simply input 3 into the number machine to get the answer. So that's 3 add 5, which is equal to 8. We then multiply the 8 by 2 and we get the answer 16. 1 mark. And here's part B. We can see that there are 2 marks this time, suggesting 2 stages to the answer. Notice that this is the same function machine as in part A. But this time we are being asked to write an algebraic expression for this number machine by inputting the variable x. So we input x into the machine, and the first thing we are going to do is add 5. We then multiply x add 5 by 2. To show that we are multiplying x add 5 by 2, we need to place brackets around the x add 5. So we have something like this. Now this will give you 1 mark, but there are 2 marks on offer. The reason for this is that this expression can be simplified. And we can do this by writing it like so. 2 open brackets x add 5 close brackets. So writing it in this form will give you another mark. And just so you are aware, this answer is in factorised form. And as mentioned earlier, we are going to look at factorising in the next video. Have a look at this question. Again, it's in 2 parts. It's another number machine. In this example, the input is x and the output is y. There is 1 mark, so you should be expected to do this easily. So when x is equal to 12, we have 12 subtract 3, which is equal to 9. We now multiply 9 by 7 to get y, and this is equal to 63. You can write the answer as 63 or as y is equal to 63. Here's part B. Notice that there are 2 marks, suggesting that there are 2 parts to the question. So we have the same function machine, but this time we are going to write an equation for this function machine. The output is y, so we are going to end up with y is equal to something, and that something is going to include the input variable x. So we begin with letter x. We are then going to subtract 3, which gives us x subtract 3. We now multiply by 7, and so the output is x subtract 3 or multiply by 7. And this is our equation. Y is equal to open brackets x subtract 3 close brackets or multiplied by 7. But as with part B in the previous question, we can simplify this further and write it as y is equal to 7 open brackets x subtract 3 close brackets. And that's our final answer for 2 marks. Have a look at this question. Write an algebraic expression for the following. Now for part A, instead of a function machine, we are given a worded statement. Y is multiplied by 7 and 2 is subtracted. So we start with y and we multiply it by 7 and we subtract 2. That will give you 1 mark. But there are 2 marks, which suggests that the expression can be simplified. And it can. Instead of writing y multiplied by 7, we can write 7y. So the answer for 2 marks is 7y subtract 2. And now part B. Again we have a function machine. The input is x. And we're going to write an expression for the output. So we have x add 8, and we then divide it all by 3. So we have open brackets x add 8 close brackets divided by 3. That will give you 1 mark. Again, for 2 marks you need to simplify this expression. There are 2 possible options. Either write it like this, x add 8 all over 3, or you can write it as a third x add 8. Either answer is fine. I'm going to write it like this, and that will give you the 2nd mark. So there are some questions dealing with writing and interpreting expressions. Now let's look at questions involving evaluating expressions. All that evaluating means is that you will be plugging values into an expression to get the answer. Yes, we did evaluate some expressions in the previous examples, but the focus was very much on interpreting function machines and statements. In the following questions, there are no function machines, just algebraic expressions. Have a look at this question. The question is in 2 parts. Each part carries 1 mark. So it is expected that you can easily substitute the given value or values into the respective expressions. Part A. Find 4 open brackets x subtract 3 close brackets when x is equal to 2. So substituting x is equal to 2 into this expression, we have 4 open brackets 2 subtract 3 close brackets. So that's 2 subtract 3 all multiplied by 4. We do the brackets first of all. Remember BODMAS. 2 subtract 3 is equal to -1. That leaves us with 4 multiplied by -1. And that of course is equal to -4. 1 mark. Part B. Evaluate 2 x subtract 2, subtract y add 1 when x is equal to 7 and y is equal to 3. Here we have 2 values, x is equal to 7 and y is equal to 3. Let's substitute these values in. So we have 2 multiplied by 7 subtract 2 in brackets, subtract 3 add 1 in brackets. We do the brackets first of all. 7 subtract 2 is equal to 5, so that's 2 multiplied by 5, subtract 3 add 1, which is equal to 4. 2 multiplied by 5 is equal to 10, subtract 4, and this gives us the answer 6. 1 mark. And here's a similar example. Again, for each part there is 1 mark. Part A. Evaluate x add 4 all over 3 when x is equal to 2. So that's 2 add 4 all over 3, which is equal to 6 over 3, which simplifies to 2. 1 mark. Part B. Calculate a half of x subtract y when x is equal to 9 and y is equal to 3. So substituting in our values for x and y, we have a half multiplied by 9 subtract 3. Well, 9 subtract 3 is equal to 6, so we have a half multiplied by 6, which means a half of 6, and so the answer is 3. 1 mark. For the last 3 questions, we are going to focus on simplifying expressions. Here's the first question. Notice that there are 2 parts and each part only carries 1 mark. Part A. Simplify 2x, add 3y, add 5x, subtract y. It's a simple case of gathering like terms. So that's 2x here, add 5x here, which is equal to 7x. And we have 3y here, subtract y, which is equal to 2y. And there's the answer. 7x, add 2y. For part B, simplify y multiplied by y multiplied by y. Basically, that is y cubed. Here's another question. Again, it's in 2 parts, and again there's only 1 mark for each part. Part A, simplify 3b multiplied by 4b. So that's 3 multiplied by 4, which is equal to 12, and of course b multiplied by b is b squared. So the answer is 12b squared. Had the question been 3a multiplied by 4b, say, then the answer would have been 12ab. 3 multiplied by 4 is equal to 12, and a multiplied by b is equal to ab. And part B, simplify a squared, add 2b squared, add 7a, add 3b, add 2a squared, subtract b. Again, we have to collect like terms. We'll begin with a squared. We have a squared here and 2a squared here. That's 3a squared. We have 2b squared here, but there are no other terms that have b squared in it. So that's 2b squared. There's 7a here, but no other terms with a in it. And finally, there is 3b here and a minus b here. 3b minus b is equal to 2b. So the answer is 3a squared, add 2b squared, add 7a, add 2b. 1 mark. And here's the last question. Simplify 12b squared over 4b. Or we can think of it as 12b squared divided by 4b. So to simplify this, first of all, we look at the coefficients. If this was just a fraction 12 over 4 and we were asked to simplify it, we would basically divide top and bottom by 4 because 4 goes into 12 and 4 goes into 4. So 12 divided by 4 is 3 and 4 into 4 is 1. So we have a coefficient of 3. Now let's look at b squared over b. Think of it as b times b over b. And of course this simplifies to b. So the answer is 3b. And part B, simplify 21x y to the power of 5 over 14x y to the power of 3. Looking at the coefficients, we have 21 and 14. If we had the fraction 21 over 14, we can simplify this by dividing through by 7. 21 divided by 7 is equal to 3. 14 divided by 7 is equal to 2. So we have 3 over 2. Looking at the x's, Well, we have x over x. Well, that will just cancel out and be 1. Now let's look at y to the power of 5 over y to the power of 3. Think of it as y times y times y times y times y over y times y times y. 3 of these y's cancel out, leaving y times y on top. So we end up with y squared. Alternatively, we can just look at the powers. We have 5 up here and 3 down here. And it's a simple case of 5 subtract 3 is equal to 2. So we have y squared. I have done a video on indices and I've put a link in the description below. And hopefully this will help you in understanding what I've been doing in this particular question. But I am going to do a video on this in the coming weeks. So we are left with the answer 3 over 2 multiplied by y squared. We can see that with most of these questions, not many marks are given. Where you have to be careful is in questions where the examiner is expecting you to write the expression in a simplified way to get full marks. But that's the first of 2 videos quickly looking at some non-calculator type questions on expressions. In the next video, I'm going to be looking at non-calculator questions that cover expanding and factorising expressions. I hope you found this video helpful. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and thank you for watching.